Hey, it's Clay from Wicked Edge. A question we get a lot is how long it takes to sharpen a knife to a mirror edge in the Wicked Edge system. And a lot of users report that it's taking them a really long time. So in this video, I just want to give you some tips and tricks and show you how quickly it actually can be done. In this sharpener, I've got a knife that's not a particularly fancy knife, just a $10 thing off of Amazon, and currently have a really nice edge on it. What I'm going to do in the video is kind of wreck this edge, go back to 100 grit, and then take you through all the steps to get back to a mirror polish. We've got a couple cameras in our setup here so we can zoom in kind of tight, and we're going to be running a stopwatch once I get started with the whole progression. The stones that I'm going to use for this sharpening progression are the 100, 200, 400, 600, 800, 1000, and 1500 diamonds. And then I'm going to switch over to some diamond lapping films. And we'll just see how quickly it goes with a couple of the techniques that I hope to show you. So I'm going to pop this knife out, and I just want to give you kind of a quick glance at the way the edge is looking currently. So we're not going to impress NASA with our mirror here, but for normal mortals, this is a really nice, very highly polished edge. It looks great. And next I'm just going to pop it back in the sharpener and wreck this edge with some 100 grit stones. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is throw these stones on here, and I'll do a handful of strokes per side, and we'll take a look at the knife again before we get started in our progression. I love to keep a magnifying glass handy when I'm doing a highly polished edge, so I can just kind of see what the progress of my work is. And that didn't take long at all to wreck that. So let me pop it back out, and hopefully we can see that we've really lost our mirror there. Got a lot of nice coarse 100 grit scratches. Okay, so I'm going to pop it back in. We'll set the timer and we'll get started. Okay, so I've got a little stopwatch here. I'm going to hit start, and we'll just set it here on the sharpener next to where I'm working. There we go. Okay, so I'm at 100 grit. I'm going to go ahead and switch over now to my 200 grit, and I'm just going to perform a series of edge leading strokes, from heel towards the tip. All right, and what I'm doing is just erasing the scratches from the 100 grit stone. And then I'm going to do these horizontal strokes where I'm just resting the stone on the bottom of the ball joint here and just going kind of horizontal. And that is to just erase the strokes that I just made a minute ago. All right, and that's all we need to do with our 100, 200s. So now we're on to our 400 and 600s. You can just like this on the side if you want to. And any areas where you see some deeper scratches, you can kind of just buff those out. But mostly it's just this horizontal stroke here that's the trick. Okay, now I'm ready to switch to my 600s. And it's really helpful to keep a paper towel with some rubbing alcohol or Windex or something on it nearby so that you can clean your stones off, because the grit and the little bit of metal filings from the previous stone will definitely contaminate the edge that you're getting from the next stone. You can hear it actually sounds a lot cleaner and nicer now. Pay special attention back here at the heel and at the tip, where your stones tend to get less contact throughout your stroke. Okay, that's it for my 600s. Go ahead and clean it up, and I'll switch to my 800 and 1000s. Already it's looking a lot better just by eye. I'm not looking with any magnification, but it looks much cleaner already. All right, so 800 grit. As always, I'm not using a lot of pressure with this technique. I'm just pretty much letting the weight of the stones do the work. I'll switch to 1000s. Okay, ready to move on to my 1500s. And here I'm going to show you something that's really important, because a mirror edge is awesome. Of course, they're really pretty, but you also still want it to function effectively as a sharp knife. And when you're doing those kind of parallel strokes with the diamond stones, it doesn't actually give you the best edge. It's going to give you kind of a ragged edge. When you look at it under a microscope, you'll see that little chunks are torn out. So on my last diamond stone, I'm not going to do that horizontal scrubbing. I'm just going to do our standard edge leading strokes like this. Really nice light pressure. And that's because I want to establish the final cutting edge here as a really well-formed edge that's refined and has the right micro teeth that I'm looking for. At this point, I'm just going to pause and take a look at my work under magnification, make sure that I'm happy with what I'm seeing. This is your opportunity to clean up any kind of bigger scratches before you move on. And it's looking pretty good, but there's a little bit of work to still do, so I'm going to keep at it for a minute. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean off the blade again and switch to my lapping films. When you're wiping your blade off like this, make sure that your thumb or your fingers are below the edge so you don't accidentally cut yourself. Okay, first I'm going to start with an upward stroke like this, kind of upward and forward, an edge trailing stroke, light pressure. And what I'm looking to do is just eliminate the scratches from the previous stone. And that's looking pretty good. I've got a couple kind of long horizontal scratches from one of the previous stones, so I'm going to do just a little bit more of this upward motion here to get those knocked out. And then I can go ahead and switch to this horizontal, kind of scrubbing like this. And this is where the magic really starts to happen. And when you're doing this with the lapping films, they're a little softer than the diamond stones, so you don't have to really worry about the edge getting torn out by this horizontal stroke. The lapping film's compressible and it'll kind of squeeze down and not rip the very edge out. Wow, so that's bright. That's working really well. I'll go ahead and switch to the last set of handles. These are just our blank glass platens, so there's glass on both sides. And on them, I've got the 6 micron lapping film and the 3 micron lapping film. On the previous stones, I had the 9 micron lapping film. So this is just the same process that we just had with the 15 in glass, where we're doing first upward strokes to clean up any horizontal scratches from the previous, and then we'll switch back to the horizontal strokes with this one. I'm kind of doing one side at a time so I can get a really nice scrubbing motion in here. And once I've got the edge looking the way that I like, then I'll go back to just nice alternating strokes. Nice and easy. And then I'll switch to my other side, and this is a 3 micron, and it's the same procedure again. All right, so that's looking pretty good to me. Let's see how we're doing on time. So we're at 9 minutes and 26 seconds to go that amount of sharpening. I'm going to go ahead and pop this off of the sharpener, clean it up a tiny bit, and let's take a look at it a little closer up and see if we've got ourselves restored back to a really nice finish here. Okay, so in just under 10 minutes, we're able to get back to that really nice, pretty edge from, 100 very coarse, scratched up looking edge to that, just with those simple techniques. So the main tricks here are nice horizontal strokes to erase the previous vertical strokes as you change through each grit. And then when you get to the last diamond stone, don't do the horizontal strokes, just do the edge leading standard stroke that we like to teach. And then make sure your knife is cleaned between each stone, and then go through your lapping films one at a time, vertical and then horizontal strokes until you get to the Okay, so hopefully that gives you some pointers on how to get to a mirror finish pretty quickly with the Wicked Edge. There are a couple different routes you can take in terms of stone progression. The one I chose is probably the most affordable, going from the 1500 and glass to one more set of glass platens. And depending on the level of mirror you want, you can go less or further with the lapping films that we offer. Just remember that when you're on your last diamond stone, don't do the parallel strokes, do more of the standard edge leading stroke to set up your edge for success later, and then you can go back to those parallel strokes. But I hope that helps, and I hope you have a lot of fun making mirror edges.